Okay, so I've just gotten back home, and y'all already know we need to talk about some recruiting wins, because even though we have a lot of college football to get caught back up on, I want to talk about some major victories that have occurred today. Texas A&M adding into their stellar class, and Oklahoma getting a top 10 running back. We need to break it down. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes, N for no. And for Oklahoma fans, are you pleased with the job Brent Venables has done? Maintaining a top 10 class is never easy, but with all that's going on, I'm really interested in hearing from y'all. And for Texas A&M fans, I want to hear from you. Are you pleased with Jimbo Fisher's results in 2022 in the recruiting department? And let me know what else you expect to occur. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoy the content, like and comment down below. Those interactions are absolutely massive for content creators such as myself and getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's break it down and let's start off with Texas A&M, because a top 10 player in the nation, a top 5 player in the nation has just committed to the Aggies. Harold Perkins out of Cy Park, Texas. This individual is rated number 5 in the nation, number 1 in the state of Texas, and the number 1 linebacker in the nation. 6'2", 210 pounds. Harold Perkins is an individual that can do a whole lot on the football field. He is a massively talented individual who every institution in the nation wanted. Getting him into the Aggies is a massive victory for Jimbo Fisher and company. Because when you look at Texas A&M's recruiting class, they currently have 2 individuals in the top 5, 3 individuals in the top 10, and that's just relegating their class to a top 5 or top 10 mindset. When you look at the entirety of this class, it is really solid, and they've done it in a multitude of ways. They got a 5-star quarterback in. We've talked about this before, that when you get these top-rated quarterbacks, top playmakers want to follow. Well, with the 5-star quarterback comes a 5-star wide receiver. And if you are an A&M fan, what's better is not only do you get a 5-star quarterback in the class, but you get a transfer quarterback, Max Johnson, from LSU, who has that experience. So no matter what, you can bring along your 5-star quarterback with a quarterback that already has college football experience at the D1 level, let alone the SEC. So if you're an A&M fan and you're sitting back looking at the situation, I don't know how you wouldn't be pleased. Even though Alabama holds the top average rated recruit in the nation right now, A&M holds the number 1 class, and they are doing so in a very impressive fashion, and they've done really well in the state of Texas. Harold Perkins, and then going down and getting Denver Harris. You have got to be pleased if you're A&M, because when you look top to bottom, this is a strong class across the board, and it has cohesion. And that's something I've always talked about. It's always great to get in a recruiting class that looks good, that has the flashy rating. But does that recruiting class have cohesion? Because if the answer is no, you really better hope that that cohesion is already on your football team. Because if it isn't, those numbers are going to be very hard to translate into tangible results. When you look at Texas A&M, this class seems to have cohesion, and it's a really strong defensive class with Anthony Lucas, Bryce Anderson, Denver Harris, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, Walter Nolan, and now Harold Perkins, just to name some. You can see why Aggies fans would be very excited. But now let's talk about the Oklahoma Sooners, because Oklahoma has been through a lot this year, but a fall in recruiting is not one of them. Because even though Oklahoma has had disarray at the head coaching position, with Lincoln Riley leaving, they got a massive win over Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans today for Jovantae Barnes, a top 10 running back in the nation, a top 120 player in the nation. This is a huge win for the Sooners, and it's a big win for a few reasons. First and foremost, let's get the obvious out of the way, because any win Brent Venables and staff gets is huge. Brent Venables came into this situation where Lincoln Riley left this team not long before early signing day, and recruits decommitted. And we can't really blame them. They were put in an incredibly precarious situation by the former staff, but Brent Venables and them have come in and done a really solid job. So any highly touted individual you're able to get into this class is a win for multitudes of reasons, but most of all, showing that Brent Venables is serious on the recruiting front. He didn't take long to get back to this class and get this class back looking really good. The second reason this is really big is because of one of those decommitments that was had. When Lincoln Riley left OU for USC, Raleek Brown followed. Well, that left Oklahoma with one running back in the class, and usually when you have a running back as talented as Gavin Sawchuk, you may not lose sleep over just having one. But when we look at what happened at Oklahoma this year, where they were down at one point to just 2 scholarship running backs, between injuries, between academic ineligibility, between transferring, and then between things happening off the field, that's a position that Oklahoma wants to stack talent. And Jovantae Barnes has talent. 6 foot, 190, out of Las Vegas, Nevada. This is an individual that I think is going to translate very well to the Sooners, especially when you pair him with Gavin Sawchuk. And Oklahoma's class is much the same. It sits in the top 10, but they don't have the numbers as other institutions inside the top 10. And that makes this class a little bit unique, because when you look inside the top 10 recruiting classes in the nation right now, there are only 3 classes that have less than 20 recruits. And that right there says something. The first class that has less than 20 recruits is Ohio State, sitting at number 4. Ohio State always recruits well. We know what they do, and they've had the luxury of having continuity at the head coaching position. The second class that's top 10 right now with less than 20 recruits is North Carolina. Mack Brown can recruit. That's not something we've questioned about Mack Brown. But then finally, Oklahoma coming in at number 10 with 17 recruits, an average recruit rank of 91.67. When you think about the totality of circumstances that Oklahoma has been through, that is awesome to see. It's awesome for Sooners fans, but it's also really cool to see from an outsider looking in. Seeing that even though Lincoln Riley left, Brent Venables has been able to establish relationships and pick up the pieces. It's going to be incredibly interesting to see what happens as this staff continues filling out for the Oklahoma Sooners. That's only going to help them in the long run recruiting. But it's going to be interesting as well, not only seeing what the staff does, seeing what more moves are made between now and signing day. And I can even take it a step further. If we think Brent Venables has done well now, let's see what happens once he gets a full year under his belt at Oklahoma. That 23 class started off stellar for Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley at the helm. Those guys have left. But now with Brent Venables doing what he's doing on the recruiting trail, if he's able to get results to follow next season with Lebby and company, it's going to be very interesting to see what that 23 class does for the Sooners. But with that, I'm very interested in hearing from y'all. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you think about what Texas A&M is doing, because it's insane on the recruiting front. They have 6 5-stars a part of this class, and all of those guys are insanely talented. And secondly, let me know what you think about the Oklahoma Sooners getting another win, but maybe more importantly for Sooners fans, a win over Lincoln Riley and USC. I have to imagine every win under Brent Venables in the recruiting department is sweet right now for Oklahoma fans. I can imagine how much sweeter it is when it's over Lincoln Riley and USC. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.